Natasha Jackson. I am owner of Naturally Inspired Media, and I have been a cannabis educator for the past 4 years. I have created curriculum to train doctors and nurses and patients and canna curious people and anybody and everybody who wants to learn about how to not only use cannabis as medicine, but plants as medicine, as I have been doing my entire life. And the person above me in our little square just on my screen is Debbie. So if Debbie is there or there, I got you both. How about I do this?
All right, I'm here. That's what I'll tell you.
Introduce yourself and how do you find people? Oh, my website is naturallyinspiredmedia.com.
I'm Debbie Wimberly, the founder of the Effective Cannabis newsletter, which was designed to provide you with the education that I think everybody is looking for. And you can subscribe to get the newsletter and it delivers into your inbox. And then there is nobody that's going to censor it. That's one of the things that it was created for. But my mission truly is to make sure I empower other individuals how to improve their quality of health and that they understand that that power belongs within them. They should be looking for someone to partner with them in their health. They should not be handing it over to someone else without being involved. So you can get a hold of me at effectivecannabis.com. And I love to hear from you. And there's tons of places that you can get good education. And we'll talk about that in the end of the wrap up.
And then Nikki.
I'm Nikki Lawley. I live in Buffalo, New York. I'm a former pediatric nurse. I suffered a traumatic brain injury while working as a pediatric nurse, and my life changed in a second. I was on a cascade of pharmaceuticals, and I ended up almost taking my life due to all these pharmaceuticals. And I found cannabis as a last resort rather than a first line treatment. And so I have spent the last 5 years solid, doing everything I can to educate others on plant medicine and help remove the stigma, because the stigma still exists, and I'm trying to help others find a quality of life. I'm on all social media platforms, if you can find me. And
That's the trick. That's what the video's about.
Nikki and the Plant, spelled out NIKKI, and theplant.org is my website.
You know, again, it just goes back to the point that we had discussed before, where if you're a celebrity and you can be on TV smoking blunt after blunt and it's totally fine, but if you try to educate the general public on therapeutic benefits and you are not only a licensed healthcare professional, but you are a patient speaking from your own experience, right? Like me coming on and talking about how plant medicine has revolutionized my health and my life and my chronic illnesses that I have had for my entire life are resolving because of my extreme dedication to the treatment that I am putting myself on, right? Speaking from my own patient experience also gets blocked, right? And we've talked about that too.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Nikki's already blocked, I think, by IP address because she talks about it. So even if she tries to talk just about a CTE and a brain injury, she gets blocked. And she's not saying anything about any plant. She's just talking about what people need to know if you have a brain injury.
Yeah. And that's the way it is on Linda's as well, because her videos, so she doesn't only talk about cannabis and microdosing. She also talks about other topics that are pertinent to veterans because that's her target demographic. Her other videos get blocked too. So, you know, it's frustrating when you're trying to say, hey, everybody, this is something that's beneficial. Look what it did for me. Look at how it transformed my life. You know, you can become educated and you can learn how to do it too. And then that just be like squashed, right?
Well,
Yeah.
then when you're
too.
talking about veterans, even, you can just think about and talk about how they're being impacted tremendously by this and how they do not have access at all and how to even study it. You can't even get good quality cannabis to study it because the study they were trying to use is coming from the government and their one school that raises cannabis, and it was all moldy. So we
Yeah,
can't be giving that to our veterans to do a study on them to understand how it impacts their pain or helps them with their PTSD. That's
yeah,
ridiculous. So,
yeah. Thanks for fighting
it's
for our
such a big
country for
thing.
some moldy weed.
Well,
Mold.
somebody that has a lung condition, that's the last thing I want to be doing. And
Right.
no one should be. I mean, it's a serious subject and our government should be taking that seriously because they could be doing harm. Haven't we caused enough harm to our veterans already, if you ask me? Just my opinion, going to war, serving in war has not proved well for a lot of people that have gone to war. And they come back with serious issues that they have to address, but we're not helping them address them as a society. And I believe we owe them that.
Absolutely. Today on the way home from school, there was a homeless veteran on the corner. And so if you look at the statistics of the homeless population and then the breakdown of them, veterans are a huge part of the population. Why is that even a thing?
Because
Well,
they're afraid to ask for help, first of all. Veterans, you've been trained, you're the badass, you're the weaponizer, you're the man, And so it becomes that's part of it, but PTSD, they think like, they go back to the war zone maybe, and they feel like these people lived and they didn't have anything, and like I can live that way too, and I mean, just that survival instinct kicks in. But it's really about they just don't want to go back to the life that they used to have because they're different people.
Yeah.
they can't go back to that life from my knowledge and everything I've done in this work, because how do you come back? You've been in war, you've been taught to kill people. Now let's get real. That's something we're not taught to do. That's something we're taught to refrain from. That's against the law. And now all of a sudden you go to war and you're taught to kill. How do you come back and relate that to these people that you've loved and have loved you for so long and tell them that you did something that you were trained or taught by them to not do? How do
Yeah.
you fit back into this society? It's not simple. I know that from the people that I've worked with. And, I believe that runs rampant throughout the community. And I know people that are looking for help, but they can't get it.
Yeah.
And so, this is just another way that censorship is really harming a huge demographic that I think we owe a great deal of gratitude towards, and that we need to give them the respect that they deserve for going and doing a job that I would not do.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm grateful to those people because they are the ones who stepped up, right? And so this is also a PSA for those people too.
Yes.
Medical cannabis information, the education has to come out, the correct information. And, I have heard some arguments against allowing the free flow of access to information, but it doesn't hold water because you can say, oh, well, if we allow free flow of the access of information, there's going to be so much misinformation, right? There's a ton of misinformation already. It already exists, and it's not just cannabis, right? It's not just cannabis. You brought up before, Debbie, that it's also sex education. There are other positive things that are happening out there, but because of the nature of the subject matter, it's not allowed to be out, right? And so, but look at how much pornography exists in our everyday world. I mean, when we're driving down the street, how many, let's just say on the side of a bus, right? Is to some degree some nudity. When you go to the public pool, it's in a lot of different places. And so, again, like Nikki was talking about, it's like harmful things can be out all day, but when it comes to how do we moderate this? How do we provide the access to the real and true correct information, allow it to spread so that people can make the choices that's best for them. If this is a free country, then that should be allowed, right? Is that I need all the information, right? And then let me make a choice that's best for me.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that also a lot of times we get caught up in that we don't want misinformation, but that's how we learn.
Yeah.
Just like recently, as this week, a new article put out by CNN stating that there was a study done in Canada on how many people are getting cannabis poisoned.
Mm.
And it's based on 8 years of study. And now they're targeting and saying that it's the senior population that is ending up in the ER room more than they used to before it was legalized. And it's like, you have to dig into that and really understand that. We're talking about an 8-year period. We don't know what the controls were. So here again, CNN can share that content and there is no harm to them. None.
Right. Right.
But then I can't go out and say something about that and contradict it and try to explain, this is what you need to know. It's kind of
Right.
like the recent study that came out about smoking cannabis is harmful for your heart and for your lungs. You know, and it causes heart disease. It can cause a heart attack, cause a stroke, whatever. You know, and it's like, these things can be said by a big media conglomerate like CNN,
Yeah.
but then me, you, or Nikki can't come in and try to, you know, based on our experience and our knowledge. I'm somebody that lives with lung conditions, so I think I have the right to talk about it, and I use cannabis on a daily basis.
Right.
And my lungs are improving. So us being able to come out and talk about this and share our experience, am I saying that it will help everyone exactly like it helped me? Absolutely not. But what I'm saying is there is an option for it to do that. And if you learn to do it with the right education, and it's really important.
Right. Well, and how much misinformation are they giving just by giving you that little teaser, right? And so even in that, there's a bunch of misinformation and in the reporting of it. And so, you know, not saying the full truth is not a lie. Yes. However, it still can cause harm if people don't understand the full scope or, you know, the situation behind that. Because, like you said, again, if cannabis comes, if the study shows that cannabis harms the lungs, then how is it possible that you are saying that you're improving, right? And so there's, like you said, there's a contradiction there. And when you come out and you say these contradictory things, it's not, there's so much scrutiny. And I don't understand why, because we're the patients. You know, I say I'm a phytotherapy patient. I use plants as my medicine. I have to in order to stay alive. So does everybody else on this planet because plants give us the minerals and the vitamins that we need for our body to function. So, but if we use them too much, then that's not good either, right? And so having the education behind what is too much, what is not enough, where is it for each person, that's the kind of information that we're just trying to put out. That's it.
So let's get real here. We came together tonight because I came to you, Tasha, with pure frustration, saying we got knocked down again. And what did we get knocked down for? What am I talking about when I say knocked down? I'm talking about the absolute brutal censorship, brutal discrimination that I am facing literally on every social media platform that I post anything on. And when I say post anything on, I mean not even about the dreaded C word, aka cannabis. And most likely that would be bleeped out because we want this to be seen by many people. So just know when we're talking about broccoli, we're really talking about the C word. So just so there's no confusion, when we talk about broccoli and we seem very angry, we're really discussing that C word. But I think we really need to understand what's going on. my name is Nikki Lawley. I'm a patient. I'm a passionate cannabis advocate, and I share my story all across the country, even other countries. I'm on numerous podcasts, and all I'm trying to do is free the plant and educate people on how it helped me. The plant saved my life. If it was not for cannabis, I would not be here. There is no doubt I would not
Raise
be
your
here.
hand to that.
So what I'm saying is, what has happened to me is happening to people legit everywhere. It's happened to all three of us, but we're trying to literally share this message and get support behind it so we can create real change, because someone needs to listen to this, whether it's the silly opening that got you to watch this, whether it's the intro of just hearing censorship and discrimination and the word, this broccoli word. You know, you have to realize it's discrimination. It's like wrong. And if we've been too relaxed, too kumbaya, don't want to rock the boat, that time is over, humans. The federal government said it. What did they say? Oh, cannabis has medicinal value. Oh, let's reschedule it. Okay, so we've been lied to, and that's documented. This is like not fake news that cannabis is medicine. Okay, so why in the hell every single post I post, whether it's because I'm an ambassador for an event, like a broccoli event, if it's a award for a broccoli experience, if it's a post on brain injury, and I don't even say the C word, I'll say plant medicine helped. I mean, I literally have had to curtail, to change, to adjust my message in every which way you can, from using emojis to using blocking the A with an @ sign. I mean, you don't understand how creative I have tried to get, and yet my social media numbers are plummeting. I don't mean a little bit, I mean,
Yeah.
um,
And I
close
can
to a
attest to
million-
that.
close to 1 million interactions on LinkedIn in a 10-month period. Now, if I'm at 100,000, that's a lot. And my Instagram, 60, 70,000 engagement interactions. Now, 3,000. My Facebook, 100,000, 50,000, it vacillated depending on what meme I posted. But now 300, 500. So that social media influencer status that I once had, it has been destroyed by sharing content from either other writers that are solid, validated humans.
Yeah.
But like
they're doctors and nurses,
like
highly respected.
Harvard studies,
Right.
like WebMD, even. Like, I literally don't share BS. I don't sell anything. I don't promote illicit activities at all. I don't do anything but teach about legal uses of broccoli. And those legal uses of broccoli can save someone's life like it did me. So the shadow bans, what's that mean to those lay people out there that have no idea what a shadow ban is? That means when you type in Nikki Lawley on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it is, in YouTube, you're going to have a challenge finding me unless you know exactly how to spell my name, unless you know exactly how my account is listed. And a lot of times you still won't find me. Like, to find my YouTube channel, people, it's ridiculous. I mean, you have to, like, I don't know, I've got to be in the bottom 780,000 channels on YouTube, like for real, because of my video content, because my video content is always talking about broccoli. And so as a rule, I am like they block the IP address, like, you know, and then let's not even get into the hacking and the bullshit where we have people impersonating people that aren't the real people.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
you know, oh, you got a package today and it's got $1 million in it, and make sure you click here so that we can get your bank account information. And there are people that will do that, and that's
Yeah.
scary, you know, like, I mean, I've almost been sucked into that. Like, so why are we so focused on the negative and about sharing about a plant that can literally save lives, not kill lives, not be a gateway drug, not your brain on drugs, not any of that, but actually transform humans and give them a quality of life. But we can't get our message out mainstream media. Why? Because some moron decided at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter twat, all that TikTok and all of those damn platforms that if anybody has a picture of a leaf, I have grass behind me, okay? I don't
Yeah.
know. The grass could be construed as weeds, you know? Who knows? Or grass. Grass is also a used term for cannabis, for, broccoli. So my point is, we all have to stop taking it. We have to find the real people that we can get in touch with and say enough is enough. This is not against community standards. This is not spam. This is not like it's gotten too bad. It's too much
Yeah.
now.
Well, and I will say this. So, do you remember when the AI on Facebook went through and scrubbed all of your old content and
Yeah.
was giving you violations for your old content? Now, just for transparency, I am a manager on Nikki and the Plant. My personal account received a red card violation for someone tagging Nikki on Instagram. So Nikki did not initiate it. Okay, so someone posted some kind of bud sale, something or another in a dispensary.
Right.
Do you remember this?
Yep.
So someone
January.
tagged you in a post that they created and posted on their account, tagged you, and I'm the one who received the red card violation on my personal account. I didn't have anything to do with that. I had nothing to do with it. I couldn't even believe it. And so that's one reason why I don't even interact any longer. I mean, like these platforms need people to participate. And so, right, like I now am adverse to participating on the platforms because I can, what is the next thing that could get me dinged, right? And so, and then that's my business. I use that account to manage my clients' accounts. And so if my account gets shut down, then that's not good for my own business, right? So it's not giving me any incentive whatsoever to interact other than the business that I do, and that's it, right? And so that just goes to show the extreme prejudice with which this is happening, because again, it wasn't even something that you generated or created or something that I created and I posted. It was someone who had nothing to do with you whatsoever. Which scammers can do all the time. They can tag you in posts, right? And then get their post on your tagged profile grid. And then that's basically how they start hooking people, right? And so that is completely allowed and acceptable. But then when you do it, right? And I understand that they're taking some measures to combat scammers. I get it. But again, if why give the manager of the account that is like the business account that doesn't even have anything to do with me, the violation that has nothing to do with me. It's getting intense. And like I said, they have gone back years. Things that I posted on your account 3 years ago is getting flagged,
Hush
is
house.
getting removed. That's insane.
That's the crazy thing about AI being brought into this, because a human couldn't go through back 3 years on everybody's account, and they're flagging pictures now, not
Yeah.
just words. So you can just have
Oh,
a
yeah.
picture like Nikki's grass behind her, and that could get you very well
Or
deemed, as I
Debbie's
call it,
plant to the
and
left of her.
targeted, and then you have to go beg and plead to get your status back. And the thing that's
Yeah.
really frustrating is all those people that were listening to you and getting advice from you, learning from you, don't know what happened to you.
Oh,
Us
yeah.
that run a business understand what that is, because we're having to deal with this, but all of a sudden we just disappear off the face of the earth if they haven't decided to subscribe to our channel yet, and they've been following us and looking at what we do. Because you have to realize there's a lot of people that read our posts that don't subscribe to our channels,
Right.
but they get valuable information off of it and they want to see it, so they come in and look at it. So, getting that information out there is critical, because we're talking about health, life.
Yeah.
And when we look at the statistics today, according to the CDC, pre-pandemic, over 50% of adult Americans live with at least one chronic condition.
Mm-hmm.
And the World Health Organization reports that 1 in 3 worldwide. Now, if you ask me, that's not a good statistic, because all 3 of us sitting here have serious health conditions.
Yeah.
And so, I think that we should not be in that number. And if we don't do something to reverse this, this is going to continue to get worse. So where are we going to be in 3 years from now? How many people are going to have multiple? I have multiple health conditions. I know you two both have multiple health conditions. So we don't even know what that number is, because I'm not sure we're tracking that. So, it's really important that we understand there are people out here that are looking for options because they have none. And that's
And
where
they
I
don't
found
know what they
myself.
don't know. They
Yeah.
don't know what they don't know. And like, I was anti-cannabis for health purposes as a nurse. If you would have told me your kid had cannabis from Colorado because they had seizures, and now they're only having 1 seizure a month compared to multiple a day. And I would literally be on the phone with Child Protective Services. Hello, these people are giving their kid weed. This is a problem. And
Right.
yeah, so they say it stopped the kid's seizures. Well, maybe they're just putting him in a coma and they don't even know he's having seizures. That would have been my mentality then. Now that mentality is 100% reversed, but I didn't know any better. And where would I have found information like that? On general mainstream social media, on the news, on news programs. Not, we keep being like put in like Fat Nugs magazine. Love it. It's great. It's wonderful for industry people. But kind of curious people aren't grabbing Fat Nugs magazine,
No.
and
Yeah.
not that's, I'm just saying we have to get mainstream. We have to get the AARPs on board with cannabis. I mean, 1 month
Yeah.
they're pro, the next month they're not. I think it's got a lot to do with who's doing their advertising dollars. Like when there's more drug publications in it, there's less hemp advertising or whatever, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But like, this is where the message needs to go. I'm not trying to sell. I'm not trying to educate the people that are in cannabis. I'm trying to educate those out of broccoli land. I'm trying to bring people with TBIs and brain injuries to understand, this isn't a bad thing. You can try it, see what happens. You don't have to smoke it. You don't have to use it all day. You might just find it really helpful in taking away the chronic pain you're suffering, or the anxiety, or the depression, or the, crippling cognitive effects that you just can't connect the dots anymore. So you tried cannabis and it works for you. that's what I'm all about, connecting those dots, baby.
Yeah.
It's all about the plant connects the dots. And so it won't sound as good if I say broccoli connects the dots. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Can you imagine, Debbie, if your business was called Effective Broccoli?
Well, no, I can't imagine that. I don't know what effective broccoli is, to be honest. I do know what effective is, because I've witnessed it myself. There's been nothing. My name's Debbie Wimberly. Let me just introduce myself here. We're kind of far into this, but I'm Debbie Wimberly. I am a patient.
There are no formalities here.
I am a patient myself. I was abandoned by my doctors during the opiate crisis because they didn't want to prescribe me with the prescription they'd been giving me for decades because they felt they were going to lose their license. So I found myself wound up in that system, which was created by man. Just let's be real. And then all of a sudden I was sitting on the curb with no one to help me. And I kept begging my doctors, can somebody please help me? And they're like, we can't help you with this because, this is, especially if it was one of my specialists, that's not our field of study. And it wouldn't have mattered. They wouldn't have helped me anyway.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I'm sitting here with a serious lung condition going on. We don't know what it is. I'm in a wheelchair, can't walk for myself because I have a ruptured tendon. I'm on oxygen 24 hours a day, and I have a 24-hour caregiver because I cannot take care of myself.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, I'm going to learn how to use cannabis because that's the only option I had. I lived in a federally legal state. I mean, a state that was like, it wasn't federally legal. It's still not. We need to fix that. But I was in a state that's legal for medical. And so I started trying to figure this out. Before I could figure that out, I found myself laying in a hospital bed, unable to breathe for myself, fighting for my life because I was abandoned by my doctors. Now, let's say I wasn't very happy about it then. I'm happy about it now because I get to live the life now I have. And I never knew I would get to see this life again. Never. And for 3 decades, I gave doctors the opportunity to do the thing I have accomplished by understanding my endocannabinoid system and learning how to use cannabinoid therapies. So I'm willing to open my medical records up to anybody because it proves my point that for decades I stayed sick and continually was in and out of the hospital. And now I'm 8 years in. I haven't been in a hospital since 2016, which is truly remarkable with the health that I was in. And how many times I was in the hospital fighting for my life. My husband never wants to see those days return again. And this is an important message. And the person that's in the office next to mine when they're visiting their doctor that has the same health conditions as me should have this information, but they're not allowed to have it.
Right. Well, and that, so going back to, let's talk about before medical cannabis was made legal. What I see as an educator is the failure of an educational infrastructure be put in place in the first place. It was just kind of like, okay, you wanted it legal, here you go, right? But what should have happened was every doctor should have, let's say they only take one nutrition class. So, fair enough, take one class on the endocannabinoid system, understand what it is, also understand that cannabis is not the only thing that activates that. However, the benefits that you get from different forms, because you don't just smoke cannabis. I have ingested broccoli into my body in every single form that is imaginable here, in order to, alleviate the symptoms and eventually heal different parts of my body from having chronic illness my entire life. And so knowing, just having a basic class over this, it could revolutionize patient care. It could give better patient outcomes, right? And so when I went to the doctor, I actually had the nerve to put that I was using CBD on the intake form. And one of the very first questions that the doctor had asked me was, why are you taking CBD? Do you have pain? And so I immediately knew the doctor's level of knowledge of cannabis at that point. And I was just like, oh gosh, we're not gonna get anywhere here. So now what I do is I have to interview every doctor, because if doctors don't understand how their current practice can disrupt the equilibrium and harmony that I have been able to achieve thus far in my body, any kind of deviation from what I'm doing right now will throw the whole system out of balance. And so it's so incredibly important that as a patient, I have a doctor that is educated in assisting me and being a partner in my healthcare, then versus, unfortunately, what happens a lot of times is, here are your symptoms, let me type it into the computer and see what my medication options are, because that has happened to me more than enough times. And so as an educator, it saddens me that there has not been a framework or infrastructure put in place beforehand in order to prepare not only doctors but patients, because patients won't talk about it with their doctors and it's to their detriment, and doctors don't know enough to talk about it with their patients, also to the patient's detriment. It's a frustrating cycle that we have to get out of this.
Well, as Debbie so poignantly pointed out, her doctors abandoned her during the opiate crisis because they're afraid to lose their licenses because they were under FDA scrutiny and all that crap. Well, for me, being a nurse, I went from being like respected and one of the pack to now being a patient that was just malingering, faking. We don't see anything on your scans.
Oh yeah, the
You could
gaslighting.
still be having symptoms. You still, you know, the fact that I was a nurse, just like, but got hurt at work, that like went away. You know, that credibility or that respect gone. And they literally, exactly what you said, they literally type in a symptom and then here comes the medications.
I watch it.
Pharmaceutical cascade of drugs. And it was like, I would go to the stupid pharmacy and I would like come out with a shopping bag of crap, you know, that didn't help, that made me sicker, that had some other major problem. But the worst part about all that, the discrediting and everything,
Yeah.
was when the doctor heard I was on can't use cannabis, and it saved my life because of this billboard experience, and you guys can Google me and learn all about it. But when I told him I came back from vacation and this horrific thing happened, and then he said, "Oh, you were well enough to go on vacation?" Well, that's clearly means you can go back to work. And then, "Oh, you smoked weed. Yeah, you're a drug seeker. Any opiates you getting? Gone. Any kind of Vicodin, any kind of muscle relaxer? Gone." Not that I wanted to take those things, but it like now left as an option because now it's in my chart that I'm a drug seeker. As a nurse, that's not a badge of honor one wants to wear. And it was unbelievable, the judgment and the attack. So yes, you are 100% right. That education has to happen at a patient, at a healthcare provider level. But more than anything, we got to stop judging people. I mean,
Yeah.
like for what we don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, take politics, take abortion, take any kind of thing, you know, that's really drastic. Like you're one way and you're never going to change to the other way, right? Well, those people that are that far over don't know what they don't know. And they've been indoctrinated and taught this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. Don't side with the Democrats. They're bad people, bad people. They're just giving it up, giving it up, giving it up. Keep your money, keep your money, keep your money. And like that's the difference, right?
Yeah.
But it's been like that with cannabis too, you know, and people have such strong opinions that this was the gateway drug, that this was the way that all youth were like gonna go crazy and schizophrenic and
Oh yeah, reefer madness.
the whole reefer madness era, right? And look what it's done. You know, I mean, I disowned my son because he got arrested for growing plants. He got arrested and I disowned him. Now he processes my medicine for me. So like talk about a full circle moment, but I can't dare share any of that on social media. I can't share how wrong I was about something because it will get taken down. It will get taken down. I mean, I just every day of Brain Injury Awareness Month in March, I post a little blurb of my story and a little meme or something. And like probably 17 of them got taken down.
Wow.
And like most of them did not have cannabis in them. But it's just they flagged the account. And like
Yeah.
Debbie said, you know, they just it could be from like you said, AI bots. You know, it's just the censorship has to stop. I feel completely violated that I can't share positive, good, nurturing, potentially therapeutic, potentially life-saving, share my story, but yet like I mean, just go take a church person, right? Like they were, you know, hookers before and like did all these horrible things and they can share about that in church, but because now they're saved. Well, I've been saved by the plant. Why can't I share that? You know what I'm saying?
You
Like,
should be able to. You should be able to. And this is the biggest problem.
From above, from the billboard.
That one's great.
yeah, like for real.
Yes. And I've been
I've been
saved by this
baptized by the
plant.
broccoli, bitches.
Yes,
Yeah.
me too. And this is the important part of it. There's a whole lot of things you went through, Nikki, there that need to be a little bit of backup on for me. I'm medically trained as well. And understand when you're medically trained and you've worked beside doctors and nurses, and then they don't respect you and your voice, it hurts. It's very
Yeah.
painful because it's like, oh, what did I lose my mind? And no, I don't mean that in a serious way, in a funny way, but I mean, seriously, my knowledge, I take it serious, what I've learned. I take it serious what my job is as a medical professional to help somebody with their health and their life. That's the reason I went into medicine, because I wanted to make a difference in people's lives. And now I've learned that it can be done with cannabis. But, you know, doctors aren't even offered to get training in this. It is a elective today in schools. So they can elect to take a course, but they don't have to. And it should be required. It should be in every biology book that we have. It should be taught in every science class. Every young kid should know that they have an endocannabinoid system.
Yeah.
It is part of your health. It is part of your life. Think about it. If we only learned about having a cardiovascular system in the 1990s, and it's the #1 killer right now, worldwide, where would we be if we were just now starting to learn about it?
Yeah.
This is something that we have to change. And I've eliminated 28 pharmaceuticals because I've added cannabis to my life. Now, do you think there was any doctor to help me learn how to eliminate those? They had no clue. And so, you know, we need guidance. We need their assistance. So that's why coaches and educators that are training in this become so important, so they can partner with doctors and nurses to help them learn. There's lots of ways we can get this education out there and into the right hands. Doctors aren't going to go back to school that are already out of school and learn how to do this. I've been studying this for 8 years. I'm learning every single day. I learn something new because we're just learning about this. There's so much we still don't know. What we do know, it changes lives. It improves quality of life. It gives me, Nikki, and Tasha all the ability to do what we do today. And I never thought I would see it again.
Well, and when I was working with all of those patients, it was just phenomenal story after phenomenal story after phenomenal story. And when we were working with the doctors, some of the doctors came to us because of their patients, because there really aren't. So let's say I'm a doctor and I want to go learn cannabis as education, or sorry, cannabis as medicine, there are only two well-known schools. One is on the East Coast and one is on the West Coast. But those programs are still in their infancy stages of being developed. And so, and they only, they're nursing programs. So there aren't any formal PhD programs or MD programs that you can take at this time. And so, again, it's important because, again, I have heard the testimony of so many patients come through. And so if there was access to the information, and so I'll ask both of you, because both of you have seen it as well. What are some of the testimonies that you can share of other people that you know that have been using the plant as medicine? And what are some of the success stories that you have heard that are like, think of the most, I mean, patients were coming to train with us that were stage 4 cancer. And then over a period of time, and of course, again, it's not just about, oh, I'm going to sit and I'm going to, hit a pipe all day. There's a regimen that has to go along with it. You have to change your eating. You have to change your lifestyle. You have to start exercising and meditating. It's a holistic approach. And then after some period of time, there would be no evidence of disease. So those doctors that came to us had those types of patients and saw with their own eyes and said, show me, teach me, what is this about? How do I get started? Where do I, where can I start to integrate this information into my practice so I can change the outcomes for my patients? Because a lot of the patients, unfortunately, and oncologists pass away, right? And so, and that's devastating for many of them. They want to save lives, right? And so that is where I saw the biggest impact in when there is access to education. And so can the two of you share your own stories about when you have saw a success story with the access to the education from the patient and from the medical perspective point?
Sure, I'll be glad to take that one first. It's huge. I actually work with someone right now that had stage 4 lung cancer, small cell carcinoma, and she was given at the most a year, and they were told her that there was nothing they could do. They wouldn't give her any treatments because she was too far gone. And so she decided to try cannabis, and she started using cannabis. And then I think it was March of 2023, she was cleared, cancer-free. So she relaxed and she stopped taking her protocol. And by August, it had metastasized to her brain. She had 9 tumors. And she immediately went back to her process, started taking cannabis. She spent all of her years learning everything she could about this, getting educated. And I can tell you now, all 9 tumors are gone in her brain. So, I started out in oncology. That's where I started, is working in oncology in the 1970s. And I worked with 2 amazing doctors that, actually kind of taught me about cannabis. And I was shocked because I was still going to college and learning. I wasn't taught anything about what they called marijuana back then. And some people still call it that. But anyway, they were saying we need to use this for our patients just to allow them to get sleep and help them with pain. That's as much as we knew. Little did we know there had been some research done out of the University of Virginia, I think, in the 1970s to prove that cannabis is harmful. And what they ended up finding out is that it actually kills tumor cells. I'm not going to say it kills all of them, but they did find that. That was buried under the ground, put to bed. Nobody got to see that. That was reported by one article, and I think they were out of Brazil. So that was never heard, and it just came to light after 2016 in reality. When I started looking into this, that still wasn't public. It's public now. But let's just think about this. We all know that everybody's afraid of the word cancer. What if cannabis could be the one tool that we've been overlooking all these years to help us figure out how to take care of cancer? One of the things we do know is that it does not kill good cells. It attacks and kills the tumor. It attacks what's not supposed to be in your body because it works together with your body when we use cannabis. So it's really important to think about with just that one health condition, and there's tons of health conditions that can help. But if we just took that one, think of how many lives we could save. I lost my dad to brain and lung cancer, and I would have given anything to have had this information at the time.
Yeah, I agree with everything Debbie said. I mean, I look at kids with autism, you know, you can see when they've
Yeah.
been medicated with cannabis oil versus not.
Yeah.
And autism, like Alzheimer's, just take opposite ends of the spectrum, can be very frustrating for caregivers, for the person themselves, right? And cannabis can literally be life-changing for them. Like, get rid of that frustration piece that's so difficult to control and those like anger outbursts. And is it a cure for Alzheimer's? Is it a cure for autism? Absolutely not. But can
No.
it help manage those symptoms? Absolutely. And I mean, if you've got grandma in a dementia home, right? And you've got all these people walking around with dementia, why not have them have a dementia with a smile on their face? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, euphoria is not a bad side effect. Saying that a little louder for those in the back that don't hear me. But these are life-changing moves. These are life quality improvements. Quality of life is everything. And I didn't realize that until I got hurt. And when I got hurt and everything changed for me, everything, every aspect of my life changed. And now I've got a different life, but I believe a more fulfilling and a better life. And I owe it all to this plant. And I want the censorship to stop. I want to be able to share this good news with others. You know, I mean, at least allow me on the TV and let people change the channel, you know, on Sundays,
Yeah.
right?
That's
Like,
a
you
good
don't want to listen to
analogy.
Bill Goldstein, like go to Lawrence Welk, you know, flip that station. Well, how about a new alternative way of health? You know, why do we have to just be trapped in certain ways? And I mean, so many people have tried to create different platforms and different, you know, ways of getting around this by like 420 Media, the connected TV, right? She's created a whole TV streaming channel on it, but it has like zero traction. Like
Yeah.
because people are creatures of habit. They're going to turn on channel 4, the regular news, not go on connected TV, right? They just,
Right. Yeah.
again, for those of us that are in the industry that know about it, awesome. But we're trying to reach those kind of curious people, or those people that really, really have been harmed by this war on drugs and gone to prison and they're justice impacted, or, you know, health equity impacted. And, you know, we've got to change it. And this is an affordable way of changing things. But we have to have access. We have to have safe access. We have to have quality access. And we need to be able to talk about it on social media so we can learn who the bad actors are. So we can learn who the good quality players are, you know. And if we're constantly being banned, constantly being taken down, all that stops. The call to action for everyone that's watching this needs to be, we need to band together and create the Anti-Censorship for Cannabis Foundation. I don't know what the hell you call it or how you make it happen, but I'm burned out on it.
Sign up at nikkiandtheplant.org.
Sign up at nikkiandtheplant.org. There you go. But like, I'm not even kidding though. I'm welcome, you know, legal experts input on this. I welcome people that really know how to do some kind of class action kind of lawsuit or whatever. I mean, it's not about suing anyone. It's about having the right to post information of my personal experience. And how dare you say I can't say that?
Yeah.
Well, and I
Yeah.
think it's also really important that we talk about the education that is needed all across the board, because now we're talking about this reschedule
Mhm.
and to reschedule 3. And are they talking about the education that needs to go along with that when they do reschedule it? Absolutely not. And
No.
there's a lot of education that needs to go on with that. I'm not saying that's going to go through, and I have my own opinions about how I feel about it, because I want to have full access to the natural plant and have the ability to use it how it works best for my health and my life. But being said, the education is what's missing. That's the thing that's missing in this whole thread that we're talking about here. When we went rec here in Arizona, we did 2 podcasts on the recreational bill. And the education was not even, we need to teach our police force about education.
Yes.
We need to teach our teachers
Yes.
about education on this. We need to
Yes.
teach our bosses at our job. I mean, this is one of the things I say constantly is like, if you're a boss and you own a business and you have your employees coming in and they're one of that 50%, if you have 500 people, then you might have 250 people that have chronic illness. Let's just do that math. So, okay, don't you want them to come to the office working happy and feeling good? Cannabis could very well, because if you utilize it correctly for your ECS, you could very well have a more happier workforce than what you have now. This is something that has to be taught across the board.
Well, and when we would train healthcare professionals, we would explain that, and with the patient, you want to dose under the threshold of impairment. And so we're not talking about going to work high as a kite, all head in the clouds and all of that. It's what is the minimum dosing that you can take to have the effect of whatever your desired effect is, without then it impeding the ability to have normal functionality. It would be the exact same as if when I was taking my 100 milligrams of levothyroxine every day. It's just that, it's just a dose. But each patient has to determine for themselves what that dose is. And that's the hard part.
And that's why we have coaches and educators that can help you. I had to learn the hard way on my own, even with all the knowledge that I have about medicine. I didn't know anything about this system. I didn't know anything about the plant. So I had to teach myself everything. And my first experience was walking into a dispensary, telling the guy that's like 23 years old, and I'm telling him I have serious chronic pain. That's what I wanted fixed with. I didn't even know it was going to work on my lungs. And I go in there and I said, I need something for chronic pain. Before I knew it, I was walking out with $500 worth of product. And I was trying to taper off of OxyContin at 240 milligrams a day at the same time. Had no clue how to do it. That's how I ended up in the hospital. Had nothing to do with cannabis. The only thing it had to do with cannabis. It did not work. What I came home with did not work for what I was trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Could that have been avoided if I'd have had education? Absolutely. Could the doctors been a part of that process? Absolutely. And they should want to be, because I think anybody that takes an oath to take care of someone with medicine should be wanting to provide their patients with the best care they possibly can. And they're denying their patients that by not understanding the endocannabinoid system first and foremost. It should be a part of everybody's treatment plan.